What's up, guys? Over the past week or so, I'd started watching an anime called Ergo Proxy, which really blew me away. What's really funny is I don't even remember how I discovered the show. I just remember downloading it one night and watching the hell out of it. So today, I'll be singing its praises and explaining why I personally really enjoyed the show. Before I get into it, please hit the like button to support the channel. And also, if you hear anything in the background, I am recording this on the 4th of July, which is an American holiday where we launch fireworks. So please just ignore that. Thank you. Ergo Proxy starts off as your typical quote-unquote cyberpunk media. I put obvious quotes on the word because I feel that in recent times, there's been a large disparity between what is classically considered cyberpunk, things like Ghost in the Shell and Blade Runner, and what we now call cyberpunk, such as, this.
Might be a lie, an illusion, but it's there, just around the corner, and it keeps you going.
Not that I dislike these things, I'm just pointing out that there's a difference. I like both, but Ergo Proxy starts off definitely much closer to the older aesthetic, probably because it was released in 2006, which means it was produced even before that. What sets Ergo Proxy apart from other mediums, though, is that it doesn't linger on this setting or feeling. The cyberpunk feeling is only the initial setting, like a base or a canvas. The series takes its time moving along. It has 23 episodes after all, but after some playful depictions of the flow of time and purposefully obfuscating information, our main characters eventually leave their dome city, which has the digital apocalypse vibes, for the outside world, which is theoretically very destitute, but what they discover is that it actually started to regrow and heal from the damage that humans had done to it. And it's here where people typically get turned off from the series, and it has to do with its pacing, themes, and setting. Ergo Proxy is not just some random cyberpunk anime, it's a mishmash of many different ideas. For me, some of them work better than others, but I enjoy the series wholly overall. The middle section of the anime focuses much more on its characters exploring the unknown world and overcoming its challenges. Kind of like a JRPG or an anime like the original beginning part of Dragon Ball GT, which focused on Kid Goku, his grandchild Pan, and Trunks just exploring the greater universe. Our three characters who have slowly become the main characters are now the focus of the show, which I think is what throws people off who were originally intrigued by the original setting, who may have been led on to believe that the world, or more specifically, the dystopian dome city would be the focus of the show. But don't freak out, guys. It's okay. Just because the style of the show changes, it's still made by the same people who made the first act. So there's plenty of quality and worthwhile moments in store here. Personally, I quite like the middle arc because we got to see explorations of the characters for this time period. While I'm here, let's talk about the characters. Riel, kind of an unknown icon, is what you might call the actual main character, and I recently discovered that she is the inspiration for the main characters in Sukiban games, their games. If you like cyberpunk gals, you'll like her. She's cold, independent, self-motivated, and breaks the rules out of her own curiosity. In my opinion, though, her motivation is actually fairly weak. She just goes on this long journey, destroying family ties and exiling herself from society just to satiate her curiosity, which doesn't strike me as very realistic. I don't think you and I are throwing away our lives because we want to know what's going on in Area 51. But hey, a story needs characters and characters need motivation. And there is, an overarching mystery that I want solved, so it works for me. Our next character, Vincent, is a nobody. No, really, he's an immigrant, which according to the narrative means he's a lower class citizen who needs to perform various deeds in order to be promoted to an ideal citizen who enjoys the full privileges of the city. However, the mystery comes into play when he's suddenly attacked by a monster. However, the government wants to capture him for some reason, so then he abandons the dome city that he worked so hard to immigrate to. The third character, Pino, is a cute robot girl who became homeless after her family died. She's the comic relief and adds a much welcome splash of brightness to an otherwise dark world. Pun intended, the world is mostly drawn with dark grayish colors, but it's a consistent style that, in my opinion, makes the art style beautiful and aesthetic. There's a lot more going on here, of course, but for the section of the show where it's just the crew exploring the world, that's all that really matters. I loved seeing these three characters go from distance to close over the course of the series, and there were a few slow episodes that were literally just about depicting their interactions together. Some people might call that filler, but personally, I think it added to the viewing experience since I got to spend just a little bit more time with these characters who I all really liked. As the series moves on, the plot moves forward and they have to return to the original Dome City. The Dome City is now in chaos and has descended into war between the humans and their robot AI servants who have gained sentience via a virus spreading called the Cogito virus. However, that isn't actually the reason why the Dome City is going through critical failure, even though that's why the people think it is. This final act is much more reminiscent of Neon Genesis Evangelion, where we learn about the creation of the world, the actual apocalypse which caused this whole mess, a whole lot of philosophical mumbo-jumbo, the truth of both Riel and Vincent. There are clones, like actual clones, but not actual clones. They're like the god version of clones, but actually blah, 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 blah. It's Evangelion. The philosophical themes of the show have been present since the beginning, starting with the name Ergo Proxy, which is derived from the phrase cogito ergo sum, meaning I think, therefore I exist. However, the detail with the proxies is that they think, therefore someone else exists. For example, they're clones or replicants or whatever. Cogito ergo proxy. Also, the virus that's going around is called the Cogito virus, which is giving robots sentience. Cogito meaning I think. A real college professor actually did a lecture on, the philosophical elements of the show, and that was pretty cool. I'll link that in the description. Anyway, personally, I wasn't especially moved by the philosophy. It felt more like it was flexing its philosophical and historical knowledge more than it actually had anything novel to say, which contrasts with a game I absolutely love, Nier Automata, which actually had clear and direct messages it wanted to let the world know it thought in response to ever-present existential questions that all societies have asked. Despite this, I still enjoyed its Evangelion-esque ending arc, and considering that it's a series with only one season, I'm willing to rate it favorably even if I didn't like some of its weaker moments, because it didn't demand my attention and drag on for 3 more seasons, even though it could have if it really wanted to. It shows you a twist, hints at a resolve, and shows what the characters move on to do, which I respect. The story of these characters may be incomplete, and there may be more to tell, but the series itself gracefully left when it had said what it wanted to say. So, should you watch Ergo Proxy? Yes, if any one thing I talked about appealed to you, whether it was the cyberpunk or the characters or the Evangelion twist, because you get hints of everything all throughout the series. The dystopian world, the dark themes, beautiful artwork, lightheartedness, despite of the dark themes, and also some existential work too. It's layered throughout the 3 arcs, even though each arc does have a main focus. Also, now that I've consumed the source material, I'm super excited to finally play Sukiban Games' new release, Project D, coming out eventually. It's got this sick PS1 aesthetic, and the lead artist directly said Ergo was a really big inspiration. That's what I've got for you guys today. Like the video if you haven't done so already, if you want to help me out. I'm the Content Savant. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.